Now here we have to learn about what is motional EMF. Here we have a rectangular frame. Consider a rectangular frame, which is MSRN, So MSRN is the rectangular frame. You can see perpendicular magnetic field. You can see magnetic field which is going into the plane of that rectangular frame. You can see magnetic field which is entering perpendicular to the plane of that rectangular frame, which is MSR. So the magnetic field here is going inside the frame. And you can see a conductor PQ. When this conductor PQ moves with a constant velocity V, it is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field. Because the magnetic field is going inside, the conductor is moving like this. So the velocity of that conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic field, right? Because the conductor is moving like this. The conductor is moving like this. The magnetic field lines are going like this. So this conductor is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field. Is it clear? So here you have perpendicular magnetic field which is going inside the rectangular frame, MSR. You have a conductor which is called PQ, which is going to move with a velocity V towards the left of the frame. It is going to move left of the frame. Clear? So if the distance is x, if this distance is x, imagine, and the length of the frame is L. If the length of the frame is L and the distance is x, for instance, after this, when this PQ conductor is moving, what do you think? Will x change? Will x change? When this conductor is going to move towards left, will this x change? Yes. This x is going to change, right? And we know that magnetic flux associated with this rectangular loop will be B into A, right? B into A, because BA cos theta, right? Here B and A are perpendicular to each other. So cos theta, cos 90. What is cos 90 degree? It's 1, right? Since magnetic field and area are perpendicular to each other, what happens is that area vector is outside, right? Area vector is outside. So both are parallel to each other. So theta is 0 degree. So cos 0 degree is 1. So magnetic flux phi will be BA. So this rectangular loop, or the flux through PQRS. For instance, you know that this is the area of the rectangular loop. PQRS. What will be the area of PQRS? Since this is a rectangle, the area of the rectangle will be length into breadth, right? So this can be written like B into area, length L, breadth X. So L into X. So BLX is the flux associated with this PQRS loop. PQRS. So the magnetic flux associated with that rectangular loop PQRS, phi is B into A, area is length into breadth. So here you have length L and X as the breadth. So area will be LX. So phi will be BLX. And what will be induced EMF? Minus d phi by dt, right? So it will be minus d by dt of BLX. Will the magnetic field change? No. So it will come outside. Will the length of the rectangular loop change? No. So it will come outside. So you are left with dx by dt. Right? Or you can say that this is the displacement of the conductor. This is the displacement of that conductor. Right? So x can be taken as displacement 2. This length can be taken as the displacement of this conductor. Because it is at a distance x. So this can be taken as displacement also. What is rate of change of displacement? What is rate of change of displacement? It is velocity. Rate of change of displacement is velocity. So what will be dx by dt? It will be v, velocity v. So the induced EMF is minus BLV, or if you take the magnitude of EMF, it will come out to be BLV. It will come out to be BLV. So this is the motional EMF which is produced in this conductor PQ, which is BLV. So you have considered a rectangular frame which is MSRN, and you have perpendicular magnetic field. And then if the conductor PQ is moving with constant velocity v towards the left, here what happens is that as x changes, see, as x changes, what will happen? Here you have the induced EMF, right? As x changes, what will happen? The flux will change, right? Here the flux will be what? If imagine this x is 3 meter, then E will be minus d phi by dt, right? So d by dt of B, L, and x is 3. Imagine 3t square. Taking a function 3t square. Then if I decrease the length, it becomes 2t square. Then 1t square. So that means this phi changes. This flux changes because flux depends upon x. Or you can see from here itself. B is constant, right? L is constant, right? The only thing which is going to change is x. So as x changes, what happens? Phi also changes. So this is how you can relate. Because phi is BLX, right? Magnetic field is not going to change. Length of the rectangular frame is not going to change. Then the thing which is going to change is this x. Because as the conductor is moving, this x decreases, right? So as x decreases, what happens? Magnetic flux also decreases. So there is a change in magnetic flux. So if there is a change in magnetic flux, there will be an induced EMF in the conductor, and that induced EMF will be called motional EMF. So when the conductor is coming into motion, there is an EMF developed in that conductor, and that is what is called motional EMF. So from the equation phi is equal to BLX, it is very clear that when this conductor is going to move towards the left, this x is going to change. This displacement x is going to change, and when x is going to change, the flux is going to change automatically. So when the flux is going to change, magnetic flux is going to change, there will be an EMF induced in this conductor PQ. And that EMF which is induced is what is called motional EMF. Only because the conductor came into motion, there was an EMF. Therefore that EMF is called motional EMF. You can find that EMF by using Lenz's law, E is equal to minus d phi by dt. You have the equation for phi, which is BLX. So minus d by dt of BLX. B is constant coming out of the differential. L is constant coming out of the differential. Then you have dx by dt. X can be considered as displacement of this conductor. And you know that rate of change of displacement is what is called velocity. So instead of dx by dt, what you can write? You can write velocity v. So the induced EMF comes out to be BLV. BLV. Where B is perpendicular to L, perpendicular to V. B is perpendicular to L, perpendicular to L, perpendicular to V. So this is the equation for finding motional EMF. If you have magnetic field, if you have length, and if you have velocity, then you can find the motional EMF of that conductor. So the expression for motional EMF is BLV. It is BLV. E is equal to BLV. This is what is called motional EMF. When a conductor comes into motion, there will be an EMF induced, and this EMF is called motional EMF. Clear? Note it down. So here in this question, calculate the motional EMF induced along a 20 kilometer long conductor. So the conductor is 20 kilometer long. So the length is 20 kilometer, which should be converted into its SI unit. 1 kilometer is 10 to the power 3 meter, 1000 meter. So 20 kilometer will be 20 into 10 to the power 3 meter. Calculate the motional EMF induced along a 20 kilometer long conductor moving at an orbital speed. So they have given you the velocity with which the conductor is moving, which is 7.80 into 10 to the power 3 meter per second, perpendicular to the Earth's magnetic field, which is B 5 into 10 to the power minus 5 Tesla. What is the formula for finding motional EMF? BLV. It's BLV. BLV. B is 5 into 10 to the power minus 5 into L. L is 20 into 10 to the power 3 into velocity 7.80 into 10 to the power 3. So 7.80 into 10, 78, and then it becomes 20 into 5 is 100, 100 into 7.80, 780, 780 into 10 to the power 1. So it becomes 7800 volt. So this is the induced EMF, 7800 volt. On solving the powers, you will get 10 to the power 1. 20 into 5 is 100, right? 100 into 7.80 is 780. And on solving the powers, this is 10 to the power 3. 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 3 is 10 to the power 6. 10 to the power 6 into 10 to the power minus 5. It is 10 to the power 1. So 780 into 10 to the power 1. So this is 10. 10 into 780, 7800 volt. And remember, to find the direction of motion EMF, what is motion EMF? It is an induced EMF in the conductor. When the conductor moves through perpendicular magnetic field, there is an EMF induced in a conductor, and that induced EMF is called motional EMF. What rule do you use for finding induced EMF or induced current? Fleming's right hand. It is Fleming's right hand. Take your right hand, stretch the first 3 fingers, that is your forefinger, middle finger and thumb, or thumb, forefinger and middle finger in mutually perpendicular direction. This is father, mother, child. This is the code how you remember. Father, mother, child. F, what is F? Force on the conductor, right? M, magnetic field. Mother, M, magnetic field. So thumb will give you the force on the conductor. Forefinger should be placed in the direction of magnetic field, and you will get the induced EMF or induced current from the middle finger. Clear? So you will use Fleming's right hand rule to find the direction of induced EMF or induced current. So in order to find the direction of motional EMF, we will use Fleming's right hand rule. Stretch the first 3 fingers of your right hand mutually perpendicular to each other. Then thumb should be placed in the force of that motion or motion in which that conductor is moving. Forefinger should be placed in the direction of magnetic field. The middle finger will give you the direction of induced EMF or induced current. Clear? Okay. So Fleming's right hand will give you the direction of motional EMF. So we have to learn about AC generator. AC generator was a portion which you have discussed in your 10th grade itself. Why do you use an AC generator? AC generator is an electrical device. It's a device which converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So the conversion of energy which happens in AC generator is mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. Clear? So for this purpose, this device is used, AC generator, to produce electrical energy or electrical current. We use AC generator. When you construct an AC generator, you will have field magnets. You will have field magnets which will create uniform magnetic field. So for that, we use 2 field magnets. One will be north and the other will be south. Clear? So these are the field magnets because these are going to create a uniform magnetic field. This will create a uniform magnetic field throughout. So for creating a uniform magnetic field, we use field magnets. So in the construction, we will have field magnets. And the second thing which we have is an armature coil. An armature coil, which will be made of copper. This is your armature coil. We can name this armature coil A, B, C and then D. The 2 ends of the armature coil is then connected to a circular ring which is made up of copper, which you will call slip rings. So the second part will be armature coil, and then the third will be slip rings. Slip rings are usually made up of copper, so they are just rings, copper rings. So the ends of armature coil are connected to slip rings. So both ends will be connected to what? Slip rings. We can call it S1 and S2. So S1 and S2 are the slip rings which are connected to the two ends of armature coil. Clear? And at the end of these slip rings we will have a carbon brush. The ends of slip rings are connected to carbon brushes, which we will call B1 and B2. So B1 and B2 represents carbon brushes which are conducting, which maintains contact between slip rings. And then these brushes are connected to a load, then connected to a load, which will be a bulb. For instance, we will take a bulb as our load. So you can see armature coil, field magnets, you can see slip rings, you can see carbon brushes, you can see a load. What is the role of these slip rings? What happens is that the ends of this wire of the armature coil rotates inside the slip ring. So this slip rings prevents the twisting of the wires of the armature coil, and therefore we use slip rings. So the ends of the armature coil rotates in the slip rings, which prevents the twisting of these two wires while the rotation of the armature coil inside the field magnets or between the field magnets. And then you have a carbon brush which maintains contact between slip ring and the external load. The role of this carbon brush is to maintain contact or maintain the electrical contact between slip ring and the load or bulb. What is the role of slip ring? It prevents the twisting of the wires of armature coil. At the same time, it maintains contact between armature coil and carbon brush. It maintains electrical contact between armature coil and carbon brush. What is the role of carbon brush? It maintains electrical contact between slip rings and load. Clear? Clear? This is the construction of AC generator. Now, what happens is that, what is the principle of this AC generator? It is nothing but EMI, electromagnetic induction. This is the principle on which AC generator works. Imagine you have a field magnet here, which is north pole. You have another field magnet which is called south pole. Then it is obvious that there will be magnetic field lines from north to the south. Imagine the armature coil is placed like this, and there are 4 magnetic field lines coming, of which 2 passes from the top of this coil and 2 passes from the bottom of this coil. That means there is no magnetic field which is entering into the coil. But you have an axle also. You have an axle. You have an axle which is used to rotate this armature coil. So this will be called your axle. So when you rotate the axle, what happens is that this armature coil begins to rotate. Initially there was no magnetic field lines entering. But as you rotate the armature coil, what happens is that the number of magnetic field lines entering the armature coil changes. Now it's 4. Then it becomes 0. Then it becomes 4. Then becomes 0. So you can see the number of magnetic field lines which is entering into the armature coil is changing. That means the magnetic flux is also changing. When there is change in magnetic flux, there is an induced EMF. So an induced EMF will be produced in this coil, which results in induced current. So an induced current will be there in this coil, which will light up your load, or you will get an output as electrical energy. You were rotating the axle, right? So when you are rotating the axle, you are giving mechanical energy, and that mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. And this is how AC generator works. The principle on which AC generator works is EMI. What is electromagnetic induction? Whenever there is a change in magnetic flux linked with a coil, an EMF is induced in the coil, which results in induced current, which you get at the load. Clear? Clear? Is it okay? Now, we have to derive that induced EMF. The magnitude of induced EMF in this AC generator. See, what happens is that, imagine this is a single coil. You can either have a single coil or a coil having n number of turns. So, if you have a single coil, imagine, if you have a single coil like this, you have a single coil. Since it is rotating, making an angle to the horizontal. So, if you have a coil like this, you know that area is a vector quantity, right? Area is a vector quantity, which will be normally outwards, right? It will be normally outwards. So, this is your area vector. But the effective area that you get will be, since this A vector makes an angle theta, so A vector gets split or resolved and you get A cos theta as the component, and this will be your effective area. If there is one coil, you will get an area which is A cos theta. The effective area will be A cos theta because it is making an angle theta. So this vector gets divided into A cos theta and A sin theta, and A cos theta becomes your effective area. And you know that to find magnetic flux linked with a coil, one coil, is B into A, magnetic field into area. But here we have A cos theta as the effective area. And if you have such n number of turns of armature coil, if there is n number of turns in your armature coil, then the magnetic flux linked with n number of turns of armature coil will be B A n cos theta. You will multiply it with a n. BA cos theta will be multiplied by n, which is your number of turns. So BA n cos theta will become your magnetic flux. And we have learned in our 11th grade that omega, angular velocity omega, is theta by t. It can be either called angular frequency or angular velocity. It is the rate of change of angular displacement. Omega is theta by t. So theta is equal to omega t. So instead of theta, you can write BAN cos omega t. And this is your flux. This is your magnetic flux. And how will you find induced EMF? You will use Lenz's law. Lenz's law. And Lenz's law is E is equal to minus d phi by dt. You have phi, right? BAN cos omega t. So on substituting, it becomes minus d by dt of BAN cos omega t. Since magnetic field is constant, area is constant, number of turns is constant, it can be taken out of the differential. So it becomes minus of BAN d by dt of cos omega t. On differentiating cos omega t, you get minus BAN. Differential of cos omega t is minus sin omega t multiplied by, since omega is a constant, you have to multiply it with omega. Since this is differentiation, you have to multiply with a constant which is omega. Now what happens is that this negative sign and negative sign becomes positive. So instead you can write BAN and then you have an omega and then sin omega. So this is the induced EMF in case of AC generator. And if you want to get maximum induced EMF in this AC generator, this sin omega t's value should be maximum. And you know that the maximum value of sin theta is 1. Therefore, the maximum value of sin omega t should also be 1. So sin omega t will become 1 only when theta is 90 degrees, or you can say 270 degrees, right? So at theta is equal to 90 degree or 270 degrees, sin omega t will be 1. So your maximum, maximum induced EMF in AC generator becomes B or BAN omega. It becomes BAN omega because sin omega t is 1. So 1 multiplied by BAN omega, it becomes BAN omega. This is the maximum induced EMF in the AC generator. And what is B? B is magnetic field. What is A? N? Omega, angular frequency. Angular frequency. Clear? Clear? So this is what you have to learn about AC generator. AC generator converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. You need two field magnets, an armature coil connected to two slip rings, Slip ring is connected to carbon brushes, which is then connected to a load. When you rotate the axle, you know that since there is a uniform magnetic field from north to south, when you rotate the axle, the armature coil rotates, so the number of magnetic field lines entering the armature coil changes. Therefore, there is a change in magnetic flux. Hence, an EMF will be induced in this coil, which result in induced current, which you get on the load. Therefore, you converted mechanical energy into electrical energy. From there, you have found out the induced EMF, which is induced in the AC generator or armature coil, which is ban omega sin omega t. Ban omega sin omega t. When sin omega t is 1, you will get maximum EMF, and therefore maximum EMF is ban omega. It is ban omega, BAN omega. Clear?